Trying to be careful here.
Don't be careful.
You kind of get this feeling that things belong to you.
To be white is the good thing.
We don't even necessarily know someone that's not white.
People here don't see anybody of another race. So there's this barrier.
Give me a hug.
If I bring up any sort of race issue with my parents, they immediately assume that I'm demonizing them.
I didn't want to feel like I couldn't live in this house with my beliefs.
When you start seeing things that aren't your own, no English, you don't speak, it's gonna make you want to move away.
Any minority group, if they get a scholarship, straight white men feel like something is being taken away from them.
Kind of feels like I'm being discriminated against.
We've never had to internalize what white people have done in America, but here, you can't escape that.
I'm getting uncomfortable. It's uncomfortable.
Hey, this is great. Let's get all uncomfortable together. I'm Jose.
Sam,
nice to meet you.
I'm Ty.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
So we're doing a film for MTV on what it means to be young and white.
Okay. I think we fit the role.
Yes, we're doing a show for MTV on what it means to be young and white.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly what I'm talking about. We talk about race in this country a lot, but we don't include you in the conversation. It's only us. We talk, usually about you, about white people. I'm interested in how you feel. So some background. My name is Jose Antonio Vargas, and I look like this, which can get, as you can imagine, a little confusing. You know, I look a little more Asian, right? And why is your name Jose? So I was born in the Philippines. The Philippines was colonized by the Spanish, which is how I got my name. I moved here to America when I was 12. I'm an undocumented immigrant, so I'm not even supposed to be here, according to the government. So let me ask people this question. What are you, and where are you from?
I mean, I'm white. I'm Caucasian. That is my heritage.
Yeah, I find that really interesting because, you know, white is not a country.
I would just consider myself white American.
When you say white, like, what does that mean to you?
White is the default. It's the default race.
It's just the norm. To be white is the good thing.
How would your life be different if you weren't white?
I believe it could be different because, it's hard.
I don't necessarily go outside of my group, so I don't know.
Most white Americans do live in kind of a white bubble. The typical white American lives in a town that's more than 3/4 white, and the average white person's group of friends is more than 90% white.
White people usually are raised by white people, they hang out with white people, and so they're completely oblivious to issues of racism that impact non-white people.
Hi, are you Dakota?
Yeah, how are you?
I'm Jose, nice to meet you. Hi.
Hi. This is my mom.
I'm Jose, nice to meet you.
Hey, I'm John.
Hi, nice to meet you. Thank you for having me. So this is your high school picture?
Yes, as you can see, I really was going for the Justin Bieber look.
So when did you stop this phase? When did you go from that hair?
Soon after the pictures came out and I saw how terrible it was, so.
You're proud of being Southern.
Yeah.
You're a Southern man. So
I sure am. There's this stereotype that you can't be gay and be Southern, but I can be both of those at the same time.
Talk to me about this town. Are there people of color in this town?
I don't really see people of any kind of race, like Black, Hispanic, Asian. It's all white people. And the people are really nice, but at the end of the day, people are very closed-minded. I hear negative things about interracial couples and like when you approach someone who's Black on the street that you're not supposed to walk on the same sidewalk as them. My parents have never displayed any of that kind of behavior, but people would tell me those things at school. That's just, you know, what I've grown up around.
How would you describe this community?
Very small town. Cliquey.
It's predominantly white.
If you, oh yeah. We had five, and it was
one
family. One Black family, and that was the only Black people that were in our high school. It's how it's always been, and I don't think it'll ever change.
This is the student center?
There's restaurants down here where people hang out.
Considering where Dakota grew up, you might be surprised to learn where he goes to school.
I decided to go to an historically black college.
And a historically black not just a school that's diverse.
Right. Their academics are really great. It was close to home, and so I could commute.
What did your friends say about this?
People were like, what, you really want to go there? Because, that's a black college, and you're not going to fit in.
If you teach your child about autonomy, they become independent from you.
The first few days here was very surreal. I found myself trying to count other white people, and I've never done anything like that before.
How did y'all get to be friends?
We had a class together.
Like, I said to myself, I know we're gonna be best friends. I'm glad that I wasn't shy and I just went ahead and started talking to him.
What did you think when you first saw Dakota?
He's so cute. Right.
Making me bashful.
So, you're gonna meet, for the first time, Dakota's friends from school.
Can't wait.
What has Dakota told you about his hometown?
Just that he has friends there.
We all have things in common. I just feel like a lot of times race will put a barrier in introducing groups of friends because you don't want somebody to say something offensive.
It's gonna be interesting, but I think it's gonna be fun.
Zoe. Hey.
Oh,
This is Miranda.
Hey, Brittany.
And this is Jasmine.
Jasmine.
Look at you guys wearing cheetah print. Y'all try to match. There you go.
Why do you think it took this long for y'all to meet each other?
That's Dakota's problem, not mine.
Growing up in this area, how often do you think you guys talk about race?
No.
Hardly ever.
We were talking about some friends that you had that's like, hey, if there was a black person walking down the street, you cross
go the other
street.
way.
You go the other way.
I would honestly say I've done that before.
You've done that before.
It was that bad part of you that thinks something bad. Would I do that now? Never.
How about you? Like stereotypes that you have about white people?
Lay them out there, girl.
They're stuck up. They're all racist. I'm gonna add that.
They might be nice in your face, but behind your back, they're gonna say something.
What were you gonna say, Dakota?
Well, I think people say, oh, black people can get ghetto real fast. Well, I can get ghetto real fast, okay? And
This is something that I've always asked other people. What is ghetto? Like, I don't understand, what is ghetto?
Take earrings off and stuff.
I know, but that's not.
I mean, it's on TV. Somebody says ghetto every 5 seconds on if you turn on Housewives.
I know, I understand
Me
what
too,
the
that's how I
definition of
use
it.
I hate that word.
Why do you hate that word?
Because it's not.
Brittany, please don't, because I'm gonna start crying.
No. Give me a hug. Give me a hug.
Everybody's okay.
It's fine. It's just, that's not something that people would see on the outside. It bothers me. The word ghetto, for me, when I was younger, it was used in a negative way. It was derogatory, you're ghetto because I'm black, not because of where I'm from. It wasn't about where I was, it was who I was.
Isn't it amazing the power of these words?
Because words hurt. Think about it. Put yourself in other people's shoes before you say something.
I completely agree. I'm curious, what does white privilege mean to you?
You kind of get this feeling as you grow up that things belong to you.
You don't have to show people that, you're one of the good ones.
I can walk to a convenience store and back without getting hassled by the police.
I won't have to deal with prejudice that someone who's Asian, someone who's black, someone who's Hispanic should have to deal with. That's my privilege as a white person. It's but it's true.
If I was white, I don't think I would have to wake up knowing that there's a certain stereotype put on me. Being Asian, I'm smart, I'm good at math, I eat a dog.
Do you actually wake up and that's in the front of your mind?
Well, it's not on the front of mind, but there are clear times when I know they already put me in a box.
I've never experienced systematic oppression against me.
I'll never know what that's like. I'm not saying I want to know what it's like to be discriminated against. But I would like to know what I've constantly been told my whole life that I cannot possibly ever relate to or understand.
So we're going to the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation, home of the Oglala Sioux tribe of Native Americans in tiny Wanblee, South Dakota. Population 725 people. 14 people in this entire town in the reservation are white. I think we're gonna meet all 14 of them. This is the Crazy Horse School. It goes from kindergarten through 12th grade. I'm looking for Sam.
Okay, her kids should be coming up for lunch.
Oh, okay, great. Every single one of the 260 students here is Native American, but most of their teachers are white.
All right, guys, this is Jose. Hi.
Hi.
All right. I grew up in San Diego, predominantly white, where I was raised, and this is definitely a different environment to be wearing this color skin.
So what I want you to do at this point is I want you to pull out your journal. I grew up in West Fargo in North Dakota. It's a very white town.
How did your parents talk to you about race?
It just wasn't really something that was discussed like it is here.
You know, I'm wondering, all the students are natives, right? A lot of the teachers here are white. Like, how does that work out?
It can be a little weird whenever you first meet them because, like, you know, they're outsiders. And along the way, it's like they become a part of the school and they become part of, like, our family here.
What was the moment that you realized that you were, quote unquote, white?
Here in this place?
Is it by the way the kids look
Instantaneously.
at you?
I think, like,
oh, how?
I think some of it, like, walking in to the store. Like, they have these small conveniences. Walking into the store for the first time and you're like, wait, I'm the only white person in here. I never had to, like, I've never felt that.
I've never felt like I was treated badly because of that.
Yeah, more of just
Curiosity.
Curiosity.
What does it mean to be white in an Indian reservation?
We've never had to internalize what white people have done in America, but here, you can't escape that.
Wanblee is near Wounded Knee, South Dakota, the site of one of America's darkest days. Simply put, in 1890, white soldiers slaughtered hundreds of Lakota men, women, and children as part of America's centuries-long history of atrocities against Native people.
What is this experience like for you all, being in a U.S. history classroom, being taught by a white teacher?
They always talk about the good things white people did in their history. What about the bad things when they try to get rid of us?
It should be all of U.S. history.
I think for the first time to, like, have an uncomfortable feeling inside because of history. When so often I would tell people to, like, when I was younger, I feel like as a majority you hear, like, you get over that, or like, that was the past, that wasn't me. But then when you're like the minority within a place where recently, like, there was that much oppression, you internalize that.
The theme for today is stereotypes. You're gonna have 2 minutes to think of as many things that come to mind when you see the topic on the sheet of paper.
Oh, wow. Whites. So what do you think about when you think whites?
They're mean to us so much.
Here's the one about whites. A lot of things that I see on here are pretty negative.
All of them are negative. How does that feel when these young students see you as these things?
You know, it's something that I have to bring in here every single day. Just encountering it today, I think about, you know, one of my students who I said he couldn't go to the bathroom, and he says, you stole our land and you won't even let me go to the bathroom. You know? And while I know at the core he was joking, the skin color I wear allows me to represent something a lot bigger than myself.
I did not know about this word, wasichu.
Mm-hmm.
Apparently it means, what again? It means?
He who takes the best meat.
Like greedy.
To come in,
Greedy.
be greedy, take what you want. What is a washichu?
A greedy white person.
But Anisha, you say it's just a synonym for a white person?
Yeah, it's the only way people use it, is just to describe white people.
I've never felt attacked by that word, but just like what it means and the fact that it exists is like, oh, rough.
I haven't felt like offended by it. I think the history is something that, like, okay, I get it.
So is Sam a wasichu?
Yeah. She's the most awesomest teacher ever.
Yes.
I kind of don't like using the term.
Why not?
My dad raised me to not be really racist or anything. It wouldn't feel right to me.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna go.
Wanna
Thank you
say
for
thank
having
you?
us.
Thank you.
How do you say thank you in Lakota? Opila.
Right.
See you.
Living out here has just really instilled within me just a very, very real sense of just how complex things are.
What do you think are the disadvantages of being white? Now, this is a really interesting question. I know there are some people of color sitting going like, what is he asking? I mean, again, this is the conversation. She's in the back.
I would say there's no disadvantage to be white.
I don't know. I mean, it's like asking a rich person, like, tell me how hard your life is being rich.
This is a question many young white Americans are too embarrassed to discuss in public. But privately, it's a different story. In one study, nearly 50% of young white Americans say that today, discrimination against whites is as big a problem as discrimination against minorities.
Scholarships, definitely.
Yeah.
Scholarships?
There's a lot less scholarships. I mean, there's a lot of scholarships out there for people of a different race.
It would ask you, like, literally on the scholarship search page, it's like, what's your race? And when I filled in that I was a white male, it said there are no scholarships available.
Hi, I'm Jose. Katie, right?
Yes.
Nice to meet you. Thank you
Come
for
on
having us. This is where you grew up?
Yeah, this is Scottsdale, Arizona.
Oh, wait, what's that?
That is
You're in the honor roll.
Well, I graduated as a high school scholar.
So where are you going to school right now?
I am going to Paradise Valley Community College.
How was the high school experience like for you?
I graduated top of my class in the top 10%. I graduated with 3.8 GPA.
It's a lot higher than mine. Okay, great.
Even with all that being done, I'm not able to have that education that I had hoped for.
So what was the plan?
The plan was Grand Canyon University. That's what my dream was.
So what happened when you applied?
I did get accepted.
Yay, you
yeah.
got accepted.
Yeah, that was
Awesome.
really cool.
Okay.
However, my biggest worry was the finances.
Yeah.
I just started noticing that there were all these scholarships for, for race.
Yeah.
And I thought to myself, well, I don't qualify for any of those just because of the color of my skin.
How does that feel?
It kind of feels like I'm being discriminated against a little bit.
We told Katie when she was growing up, just work hard, get your grades, it'll get you far. But I think that now white folks aren't getting the same opportunities. It's kind of almost reverse discrimination in that way.
We have heard white students who say that white students are at a disadvantage when it comes to the college admission process, financial aid, scholarships, and this is unfair. Talk to me about the facts. What are the actual statistics about scholarships that are available to white students in this country?
Available to white students, virtually all of them. I think it's something like 96% are actually available to white students. In terms of who gets the scholarships, white students are usually about 40% more likely than students of color to actually receive that type of aid.
40% more likely?
That's correct.
This surprised me. It turns out that even though 62% of undergraduate college students are white, they get 69% of private scholarships. On the other hand, minority students make up 38% of the undergraduate population, but get only 31% of private scholarships. So despite all we've heard about white students being at a disadvantage, they're actually disproportionately getting more scholarships. So what do I tell to white students? Specifically, I spoke to this young white student who feels that she is at a disadvantage.
You're not at a disadvantage. It's you're simply not. Everybody in the situation, especially as it pertains to paying for college, everybody is struggling right now.
She's not gonna want to hear that. So there's a lot of white students who feel that because they're white, that scholarships may not be available to them. But if you actually looked at the facts, if you are white, you are more than 40% likely to get a scholarship than if you're not white. So I'm curious, how do you then explain this feeling that white students feel that they're at a disadvantage?
Maybe because they just expected to get all the scholarships.
Any minority group, if they get a scholarship, I feel like straight white men feel like something is being taken away from them because they don't get it.
I've never had a problem finding a scholarship.
What do you say to somebody like that?
Google?
I'm Jose.
I'm Michael. Michael, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah. Oh, definitely, man. Anytime.
So this real feeling that Katie and many other young white Americans have, right? That I can't get the financial aid or the scholarship money that I should be able to get or I deserve to get because I happen to be white. Would you agree with that? That that's a disadvantage?
Oh yeah, because 2 girls that we know, one white and one's Filipino. They both applied for like the same scholarship and the Filipino one got it and the other one didn't, the white girl didn't.
Even though she wasn't as qualified.
I think that there might be other factors involved too. I mean, maybe she's Filipino, but that might not be why she got in. The reasons that people get scholarships are not always clear. And I think if you wanted to inquire why, you would have to ask the people who gave the scholarship.
I think this is where I have to kind of give you some facts, right? Around 21 million people apply for financial aid. About 76% of all institutional merit-based scholarships go to white students. And if you're a white student, you're 40% more likely to get a scholarship than if you were a person of color. Are you surprised by the numbers?
Yes, I'm very surprised. Because the way Katie was making it sound like, oh, I'm being penalized, and they made me think like, oh, maybe like they are kind of directly aiming it at towards the minorities, but with those numbers, obviously they're not.
Okay, now I'm like the victim here.
Why did you say that, by the way? You said that, like you're making you out to be a victim.
I mean, I know I don't want to come off like that to you guys.
You can say whatever you want to, that's fine.
No, I know. I mean, so, like, cause you were like, you seem to be understanding, but then when the numbers came around.
When the numbers, it did kind of change my view a little bit.
I feel like you guys are attacking me now.
I know where
opinions are opinions.
I'm kind of
not
him,
saying
I like
like
to put myself in both sides' shoes, I guess you could say.
Katie's feeling about this is an unfair system and now I'm at a disadvantage, that is a feeling that a lot of young white people that I talk to feel.
Most people feel like this because me, even with all the races I am, I wasn't able to get any scholarships. So it's not just you being white, it is hard to get scholarships now.
Katie, how are you reacting to what your friends just said?
Maybe it's just my side of it. Maybe it's all that I've seen, being born and raised here, having predominantly associated myself with generally Caucasian people. My view is what it is because of my experiences, and maybe I am wrong.
But here's the point that I want to make, and this is what I really want to make sure that you understand. You are not the only person who feels this way. When you hear that Christopher, who's a mixed race and who's a minority, has a hard time getting a scholarship, like what did you think of that?
It really opened my eyes to see that there is a challenge no matter who you are or where you come from. It's hard, and my initial concern was just feeling excluded from certain things, just because no one likes to feel excluded, especially for the color of their skin.
So talk to me about the next steps for going to school that you want to go to.
I'm gonna keep looking for scholarships and first off apply. Hopefully I can find something or find a bunch.
How badly do you want this?
I'll do what it takes.
You're gonna do what it takes. How do you feel talking with a person of a different race. Yes, sir.
Oh yeah, I feel extremely comfortable.
Half my friends are black, and it's totally normal.
I don't give a sorry if I shouldn't be swearing, but about different colors.
Almost all young white Americans I spoke to consider themselves colorblind, that they do not see race. In fact, 3 out of 4 young white Americans say society would be better off if we never acknowledged race.
Most people making the comment about being blind to color, in my experience, have been primarily white, and it's a dismissive comment.
It just feels like you're trying to avoid what the real issue is.
Colorblind, that's a cop-out, man. It's for people that are too scared to face it.
If being colorblind means running away from racial issues, well, it's working. Less than 1 in 3 young white people say they've talked about race with their family.
If I bring up any sort of race issue with my parents, they immediately assume that I'm demonizing them.
And 4 out of 5 young white people say they feel uncomfortable discussing racial issues.
It's scary and no one wants to do it. And I think that's the problem.
Yeah. Hi.
Hey, Jose.
It's nice to meet you. So tell me about like growing up here.
I always kind of describe it like a 50s movie. It's a really suburban town. Going to my high school, just a lot of white students.
When did race come up in the conversation at home?
Never really ever. I started going to a community college, and that's only when I really started thinking about like the fact that I was white. Welcome to Lucas's super serious white privilege workshop. We're not going to be able to solve all the world's problems in here, but we're making steps towards it. With a friend of mine, we developed a white privilege workshop. So, white privilege, such a scary word, and it can be hard to explain. White privilege is really the other side of racism. Unearned societal advantages that benefit certain groups over the other. As you probably noticed, I have a bunch of pieces of paper around the room. I've written a lot of privileges.
You have a white person, a white student, talking to other white students about white privilege. What do you think of that?
I think it's a good thing. If the audience is white and there's a white person speaking, I feel like they can connect more with that person.
They don't feel like they're being attacked.
So talk to me about how your parents have reacted. Do they know that this is what you're doing?
Only recently. My parents are pretty conservative, and then so they'll get a lot of their information from conservative TV channels. So
like what?
Like Fox News.
Okay.
Bill O'Reilly specifically. My stepdad's
I like
really
Bill
into,
O'Reilly.
Yeah. But most of the time, I just kind of avoid the conversation with my parents because we never really had that connection.
So basically, this whole white privilege workshop is actually should be happening right in your own home.
Yeah, perhaps.
Hi.
I know who you are.
I'm Jose. Nice
Howdy.
to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi. Jose. Very nice to meet you. You know, I don't know if you guys know that he's been teaching these white privilege workshops. Did you know much about that?
I had no idea what that was.
He is.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought you knew.
I'm curious from your perspective, sir. When you hear white privilege, what do you think about?
When Lucas mentioned white privilege, I went on Google.
And you looked it up?
Started looking it up. Most of the stuff that I saw was so slanted against white people.
Against white people?
Yeah.
So it's almost like an attack, as if it's like attacking white people.
A little bit. It's just, you get a bad feeling. I can't listen to this person. You can't just slam it into me and say, you're a jerk.
What would you say to that when people feel attacked?
It's not something that it makes sense to really feel bad about because none of us chose to be white. We can't change what race we are. We can't change our experience. All we can do is change what we do with that experience, what we do with that life.
And I don't want to be ashamed that I'm white.
Yeah, and you shouldn't be.
Yeah. Have there been some moments where you maybe like, oh man, I wish I could have said something more?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I regret biting my tongue, but there are plenty of moments where I don't agree and I'm getting upset at the conversation, but I just choose to leave because I don't want to cause conflict or anything.
That's a surprise.
Is it because you were scared?
In a way, a little bit, yeah. like about that, just growing up and being conservative. And you can get pretty worked up sometimes. It does sometimes scare me a little bit, I'm not gonna lie.
So that's why you're like, let's just not broach the topic.
Yeah, for me, it just wasn't worth it. I didn't want to feel like I couldn't like live in this house with my beliefs. I want to know if you guys would come to my white privilege workshop tomorrow.
I'm curious.
Would anyone like to share with the bigger group which privilege they chose and why they think it's interesting?
The privilege I chose was I can ignore the social issues of people of color and remain largely unaffected by the negative consequences.
I am very rarely asked to speak on behalf of all the people of my racial group.
I can choose nearly any profession without questioning whether or not a person of my race would be accepted in that profession.
I can continue to live my life without thinking twice about anything, and it's just kind of shocking to think about that.
One thing I find myself doing a lot is just whatever situation I am, I think about, what do you think it would be like to not be white in this situation? Like, do you think we would be treated differently? All right, well, thank you all for coming. So how did you feel about all that?
You did good. Good job.
Listening to this workshop and like watching Lucas, like, well, does this change how you view race and whiteness?
Not really. But I've always been proud of it.
I think my mom is taking it a lot to heart. But my stepdad, like, well, he's getting it, but I still think he's gonna hold a lot of his beliefs.
Yeah.
But I think he's definitely like opened his mind a little bit.
So how has the racial makeup of this town changed?
In recent years, we've seen more Black and Hispanic people moving into my town.
There's been a huge influx in North Carolina in the past 10 years of Hispanics.
There are people coming here from different cultures, and it's really amazing to see because you're kind of catching a glimpse of the future.
And that future will be more diverse. It's projected that in less than 30 years, white people will make up less than half of America. But for young people, that future is already here. In 2014, for the first time ever, whites made up less than half of America's public school students.
Latinos are now the largest quote-unquote minority group in this country. Asian people are now the fastest growing racial group in this country. So how do you feel about America becoming less and less white?
Personally, I think that's great. That's more diversity.
I think it's cool and not cool at the same time. I love that some people refer to America as the melting pot, where all these cultures can come together. But I also, I'm trying to be careful here. Part of me...
Don't be careful, it's okay.
You also sort of lose some of the unique qualities of each culture when you start blending. And part of me kind of wants to hold on to that.
This is the neighborhood of Bensonhurst in Brooklyn, New York. Just a generation ago, it was almost entirely white, specifically Italian American. But over the last decade and a half, it's undergone a radical change.
Hey, John, I'm Jose.
How you doing, Jose?
Nice to meet you. So this is where you grew up?
Yes. I work at Crispy Pizzeria. But on the weekends, I DJ.
You basically kind of stay around the
Oh,
area.
yeah, all in Bensonhurst. If you go anywhere out of Bensonhurst, it's like a vacation.
Is Bensonhurst a white neighborhood?
Do I consider Bensonhurst a white neighborhood?
By the way, there's nothing wrong with that.
Not anymore.
Hello,
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
This is Jose.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I got you cookies. How long have you guys been in this community?
40 years, babe.
And I can only imagine how the community has changed.
There's more Asians, and it looks like there's more of them than there is us.
Hi.
In the last 15 years, the Asian population has grown by 57% here in Bensonhurst. And now, for the first time in over 100 years, whites make up less than half the population.
How does it feel for you to like walk around in your neighborhood, right? That used to be Italian, and you see all these signs in Chinese?
It's kind of upsetting, actually.
We're growing within the population. We're slowly being noticed.
When you start seeing things that aren't your own or that you feel comfortable with, then it's going to make you want to move away.
I'm sure they feel like they're being encroached upon. I see some tension sometimes when I go around.
What are the kind of phrases that you hear people say?
Chinks.
Chinks.
Chinks, yeah.
Obviously, I don't feel happy or I feel offended when people say, oh, there's a chink walking down the street. But what can you do? You can't change other people's opinions.
I think it's a little bit offensive. I mean, I never refer to them as that. I have Asian friends, I have friends of every different race, and I'm not gonna say, yo, you're a chink.
So how does it feel sometimes when you go to a store or like you meet people in the neighborhood, right, who may not speak English?
You kind of feel a little uncomfortable.
Uh-huh.
And you don't know what to do.
Talk to me about, like, what are we about to do?
On my block, 85th Street, I have a block party. We're about to go door to door to see my neighbors to get the block party signatures. If you don't get 51% of the block to agree, then you won't be able to have the block party.
All right, well, I guess we'll see if we get these signatures.
Let's go.
Let's go.
Peekaboo. Hi. Can you sign for the block party this year?
Of course you can. Yeah. Part of the neighborhood, right?
It's just a little complicated when you go to certain people that, you know, that have never even met you. Some of them are Chinese, they don't speak English. No English? You don't speak? Hello. Can I talk to you for a minute? No?
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Hello. Most of them don't even come outside their house.
Hi, do you live in this neighborhood? No?
No.
Not this one? Okay.
Okay.
It's all right.
Just like that.
There's us and there's them.
The basic principle of just speaking like, hello, how are you? You know, things like that they can pick up. That's not hard to do.
Is that frustrating for you sometimes?
It is. It really is, yeah.
There's a perception among white people here that Asian people may not be as inviting or as friendly.
I guess it's because of language barrier. Most of the Chinese population here are like first generation. It's much different. Like, it's hard to communicate.
That's why they were more sticking to like their same kind, the Asian.
So if you don't mind signing, it's gonna be July 25th. This year. It's just a shame they don't understand.
I have to tell you though, when I was growing up, that could have been easily my grandmother telling you that. Like, somebody would knock on the door, she'd be home, she doesn't speak English all that well, although she's an American citizen. I can imagine what happened when the Italians first got here, the Germans first got here, you know, trying to kind of assimilate and transition. It's always gonna be tough.
When the Italians came here and the Jews and the Irish, you know, they weren't considered white. They were
the other.
Yeah, they were considered to be different from white people. Over time, they then started to be considered white. And I think the Asian American population, they may be the new immigrants now, but the Italians were the new immigrants 100 years ago, and they were discriminated against.
So you moved to America. How old were you when you moved?
I was 5.
Did you speak English? Do you remember?
No, it was rough. You know, strange land, you know, you don't know what to do. The kids, you know, they used to pick on you, you know, because they know you're a foreigner. It happens with every nationality.
It happens with every nationality. When your grandparents got here or when your dad got here, that same moment where they are then is kind of where they are now.
Yeah, of course.
Which is why we need more people like you to kind of like bring these groups together. But that's gonna take some time. It's not an easy thing.
This is a transitional phase. It's growing pains.
It's growing pains.
I mean, this is the United States. Like, it's not just white people. It's everybody, you know?
It's not, oh my God, we're being invaded. It's more like, all right, they're here, but let me see if I can grab them now. Pull them into my business.
Yeah, it's like a slow introduction to like different cultures, bringing a little bit of Italian pastry back home. Like, you know, have my parents try it and they'll be like, oh, what's this? And then that's how we start to slowly open them up.
They're here, they live here with us, right?
This is their home.
That's it, they made a home here.
Yeah.
Like we did. So we have to accept them and they accept us.
How are you gonna adjust to this new American reality?
If you don't have a negative attitude towards it, then you welcome it. And I don't have no negative attitude towards it.
But again, you're not leaving.
No, of course not.
This is it.
Yeah, this is Bensonhurst. This is where I live.
We're becoming a more diverse society, and we're the young ones. We're going to be the ones that are going to be there in 2050.
In an ideal world, if a person's skin color didn't affect their experience, then yeah, I don't think it'd be important to talk about. But the fact is, it does, and it's something that does need to be addressed and talked about.
Your generation is going to have to facilitate a conversation that we've never really had in this country, but that's beyond the simplistic discourse that happens when we talk about race in America.
It doesn't even have to be a young generation. It's just a group of people that are willing to say something about a very uncomfortable subject. It's going to take a really long time, but it's worth the effort.
You.